Hey, y'all. Happy Thursday. It's July 3rd. Tomorrow is the 4th. It's the holiday. It's raining off and on in Jersey. So if you hear something pounding on my window, know it's the rain, okay? Know it's the rain. And I said I'll probably be here tonight for Trending Topics by myself. I figured some of y'all would be out and about partying, getting your party started early. But for those that are here, thank you. I see my mod out there, Katrina. I appreciate you. Everybody hit that like button. I got Julius waiting on the platform. Thank you. Okay, listen, we here. We got stuff to talk about. The train don't stop. Holiday, rain, whatever's going down, the train don't stop. Okay? And tonight's title is called, Is It Fair? Is it fair? An alternate juror speaks out. And I told y'all, once this verdict come out, once the verdict came out, I knew everybody was going to get to talking because everybody want their 15 minutes of fame. And you can't put a gag order on the people forever. So the alternate juror came out and told y'all what I told y'all when the day they raided his house. He said he saw the freak off tapes and he said they were pretty tame. It was a bunch of nothing. A lot of people rubbing baby oil on each other. Cassie just sitting around at times. Nothing crazy. And he said it didn't look like anybody was forced. You don't say? But I told you that. Because if anybody was remotely forced or looked like they was passed out, the Southern District of New York would have told us that way before they wanted to put out there about 1,000 bottles of baby oil. They would have told us we saw the tapes are bad, people was passed out, looked like they was high, drunk, or both. The juror that saw with his own eyes, that said he wrote down 350 pages of notes. He said the videos were tamed. We're going to talk about it. Then we got Cassie and Diddy being sued. Am I shocked? I know y'all almost stabbed me when I said, yeah, y'all calling her the innocent one. Diddy and Cassie being sued. I also told y'all when I first heard about these free calls that there's no way nobody ever got pregnant. They didn't have some STDs and a whole lot of other stuff going on. And now what one of the workers telling us, which I don't think anybody should be shocked, that he got an STD from Cassie. Cassie herself said she was full of UTIs, sores in her mouth, and everything else. This came out of Cassie's mouth. And listen, let's be clear. She talked about the one escort that, urinated in her mouth. And you buckle your seatbelts, people. I know that wasn't the first time. So now you got Cassie, the ex-worker, talking about he got an STD from Cassie. And he's suing Cassie and Diddy. He needs to go sit down somewhere. Nobody wants to hear from him. And now all the times, I will say right now, I feel sorry for Cassie because the Southern District of New York, they used her. She wanted to just do her lawsuit, get her money from Diddy, and then go somewhere and mind her business. But the Southern District of New York came in her face, made her testify, and they left her out there vulnerable. They don't give a darn about her. They got what they wanted from her. And now she's going to be exposed to all of this stuff. It's a shame. The girl can't stop being used by somebody. They used her. And now this S-worker, because the Southern District of New York, they didn't charge nobody else but Diddy. So now they just think they could just run their mouth. And this S-worker, he's running his mouth. And even if he did want to sue Diddy and Cassie, why did he have to add in there that she got rid of his baby, allegedly? Why did he have to add that? Everybody now, they're not just suing. They think because if they put more salacious stuff in the lawsuit, it's going to help them out. He's a low down dirty dog. He didn't have to put in there. You could put in there that she gave you the STD because that's part of why you're suing. But the fact that she allegedly was pregnant with your baby and got rid of it, she didn't know you. And I'm not condoning anything. So you was going to have this baby and support this baby with her, sir? Why did you want to put that in there? Because you being messy. Yeah, Damien was a hot mess, and Damien brought this case because it was a political thing, and he wanted to take Diddy down, and he thought that was going to help his career as a lawyer and in politics. He left this mess in those 6 ladies' hands, but they could have said, you know what, Judge, once they got it, let's downgrade these charges. But no, not only did they leave them, they added superseding charges. And they lost big. So we're going to talk about this ex-worker that's suing Diddy and Cassie. Then we got one of Kim Porter's best friends. She simply wrote on her Instagram when the verdict came out, pretty much, God bless Diddy, you know, thank God, let God be the judge, and so forth and so on. And the people lost their natural mind in her comments. They lost their natural mind. They was like, Kim don't got no friends. She never really had friends. You never loved Kim. Or like, woo, 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 and whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on one second. Can anybody in the chat tell me you ain't never in your life have a friend that had a man that you ain't like what he was doing, but she stayed with him and you still was cordial to them because you saw several sides of both your friend and the man? Nobody don't have nobody in their family, a cousin, uncle, brother, somebody that did something crazy and you still love them, but you don't condone what they did? What people got to understand that what's happening here is that we don't know. There's another side to Diddy. To most people, there are other sides, and it depends on who they with, what side they show. I got friends that drink. I don't drink, and a lot of times when they meet with me, they don't drink, but they drink. But that's just not who they are when they're with me. So there's another side to Diddy. And if you really follow the trial, you will really know there's another side to Diddy. Why? Because 99% of the witnesses that got off that stand, somewhere in their testimony, they talked about how they loved Diddy. And if you ever had a family member that was addicted to anything, that's another thing that you would know for sure. People are way different when they're addicted to something. They're not who they used to be. And Diddy's addictions ran deep. The substances, the sex, he was addicted to a lot. And so there he was one person when he was high up and on those addictions, and he was another person when he was not. I had family members that got hooked on drugs. And they definitely wasn't the same person I knew when they wasn't on the drugs. Still loved them, but they did some wild stuff when they was high and on those drugs. They were still from their own mother that they loved with every fiber of their being to get that high. Doesn't mean I don't love them no more. It's just, you know, it is what it is. And I ain't support their habit or nothing like that, but I still love them. So to say that this girl is not a friend, this is a different friend than the one caring for the twins. This is another friend. Her name is Eboni Elektra. The people was coming at her neck. And see, the media wanted us to believe that all of these freak off videos was just so egregious, so crazy, so nasty. And the juror who saw it said they were pretty tame. But, you know, the media, if they want to portray you a certain way, they can. It's interesting how the young man that took the life of that healthcare executive, they ain't once called that man a monster. I can't find a headline where they called him a monster. People are writing love letters to him in the jail. They made a play about him. If anybody were to dare make a play about Diddy, they probably would set the building on fire. But yet they made a play about that guy that took the executive life, and the play sold out. That's how sick the world is. That's how sick the world is. The play sold out. Sold out. But they talk about Diddy and Baby on Astroglide, and they want him to spend the rest of life in the jail. And you can't stop the people from calling him a monster. But this guy legit took somebody's life that he ain't even know, that did nothing to him, that had kids, family. He's gone now. And they're making a play about him. I think people have donated to the tune of over $1 million for his defense. And you show me the headline where they called him a monster. They haven't. And like I said, the play that they put out sold out. So this Kim Porter friend, all she said is her post was pretty simple. She said, "We're not the judge. God is a judge. God bless them," or whatever else she said. And the people came in her comments and they was losing their natural mind. They want to tell her she was never a friend of Kim Porter. I don't know how they can come to that conclusion. Kim Porter stayed with Diddy, but they want this girl to hate on Diddy more than Kim Porter did. You got to make this stuff make sense. Anyway, guys, listen, I appreciate y'all being here. Y'all know what time it is, right? It's time for me to bring the people on in the building. So I need a what, y'all? I need a choo-choo. Hold aboard, everybody. It is Thursday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title's called Is It Fair? We got the alternate juror speaking out in the Diddy trial. He said he was an alternate and took 350 pages of notes and saw the videos, and he said they were pretty tame. This is his words. And we got somebody suing Diddy and Cassie, and we got Kim Porter friend. Let me bring the people on in the building. Hey, Julius.
Hey, y'all. Hit the like button.
Hit the like button. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Let me go ahead and get into this first story. We might as well go ahead. Let me see. I might as well go ahead and do this alternate juror. So Diddy trial, alternate juror. Jury was spot on with Diddy's conviction and about those freak off videos. So he speaks okay, there we go. It's queuing back up. An alternate juror on the Diddy's case has spoken out, and he agrees with the surprising verdict confirmed Wednesday that acquitted the musician of most of the most serious charges the federal government leveraged against him. Let's add some more people here.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for coming through. The unnamed juror sat down with CNN Thursday, and he says he has, wait, hold on.
You were an alternate. You did not deliberate, but did you agree with the final verdict?
I understood the final verdict. And I think because I took a copious amount of notes overall. I took 350 pages worth of notes. Because at the end, we weren't told who was an alternate, who was the main juror until literally the last second when they were reading when the judge was reading his entire statement at the end. It was like the first 12 are the jurors, the last 5 are the alternates. So we didn't know, even in the jury room, no one treated everyone, we were equal because we didn't know who was who.
Would you have acquitted him on RICO?
I think reading all my notes and looking back at the evidence, I probably would have reached the same conclusion as the other jurors.
You saw some very graphic images, videos. You heard very sexual and graphic details. What was that like, hearing that? And how did it impact how you viewed the case?
No, they were very graphic, and but I think overall, you know, it was we were looking at it from like one side, and it was definitely riveting and eye opening.
What did you see on the videos? You know, the press wasn't able to see it in real time.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were showing some of the. Well, I mean, there was both the freak offs and hotel nights, as they were called, from both of them. But it was.
What were they showing those videos?
They showed, well, again, you know, the defense and the prosecution showed different clips, so they were very selective. Like the prosecution was showing more, you know, just Cassie just sitting around.
The defense showed that.
Defense showed that, yeah.
Just her sitting around, not engaging in sexual activity.
Yes.
The prosecution, when you had to have your headphones on and otherwise, what were you seeing then?
There was sexual activity, but I mean, it wasn't really. Was
it force?
No, it didn't. It didn't seem forced. It was actually like pretty tame.
Really?
Yeah.
Did she?
It was just a lot of rubbing oil and stuff on there. It wasn't anything too you know, graphic.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
And it's about the video from the Intercontinental Hotel that you saw a lot.
Yeah, it was.
Was it a? Did you
they
see
did it? Sometimes they did it like frame by frame by frame.
What did you think of that? Did you see it enough? Too much? Too little? What?
It was. I mean, it was a very bad video. And I think they showed it. I think they showed it enough. I mean, they tried to show it both sides, and
did it make a difference to you in the actual charges that you would have had to deliberate over? Because he wasn't charged with.
He wasn't charged with domestic violence. No.
Did that surprise you?
No, because I don't think domestic violence is a federal crime. So.
Did it cloud the way you saw the rest of the charges by seeing that video?
No, I think we looked at just what we were supposed to be, what the judge had said we were supposed to look at, and then based off of the evidence that was presented to us.
Okay, I had to get myself over mute. It took a long time for him to get it out, but you get the gist of it. He said it was tame, it was nothing. And somebody wrote in the comments, well, how could you really tell? You would show snippets. Well, the jury didn't pick the snippets they wanted to see. The snippets were given by the prosecution. So they gave what they gave, and the jurors saw what they saw, and that juror saying it was nothing to see. Julius, your thoughts?
He gave a very graphic description of what he seen. And he was very convincing, even though he was hesitant at first. But I also want to say, he's only going off on what he's seen that was shown by the prosecution. I was about to say Constitution, excuse me. So yeah, they didn't pick and choose, and I don't know why people in the comments will say they got to pick and choose. It's obvious they haven't served on juries before. You don't get to pick and choose evidence that is shown in trial. You're just shown the evidence. Just honest here. Thank you.
Yes, Callie, your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think he's telling the truth. I believe him. Again, I started following this case with TMZ from the beginning, and they actually had one of the videos before the trial started. And they said that no one was being forced in the copy of the video, the recording that they had. And I agree with you. If people were being forced, they would have led with that. So I'm not shocked at all. And I do think that they used that video from the hotel to almost sort of confuse the jury. You know what I mean? If we keep showing you him attacking her, maybe in your mind, you will somehow connect it to this charge of him having this organization that doesn't exist. You know, and I honestly think that's what they were almost trying to mental condition them, like showing it over and over again. These people are going to need therapy, because at the end of the day, this didn't happen publicly. It happened in the hallway with no other people in it. We would have never seen this if it was not for them weaponizing it. So I think that it has even traumatized other people that are out there. But I also have seen that people are getting very angry at not only him, but other jurors as well. And I personally feel that it's because of a lot of people are reporting things that are not true, including on mainstream media. I went to look for some articles yesterday about the Mann Act. And even as I was reading through that article, there were things in that article referring to this case that never happened in any of the court transcripts. If you've been following the transcripts, these things were not said. They didn't happen. Or another example, I saw a reporter saying, well, we heard the threats. And I'm like, the threat that we actually heard was from the victim. So it's people doing things like that are really misleading people. I'm worried that someone is going to get hurt because people are so riled up by so much of this fake news reporting. Who knows what could happen?
Well, I'm praying it neutralizes at some point and no one gets hurt. But you know, the prosecution in the Southern District of New York, this is blood on their hands. Because it was a witch hunt from the beginning. They claim they was investigating him for years, but all of a sudden when Cassie dropped their lawsuit, this is when you got to push things and move things forward. What happened was they thought they was going to get a treasure trove of evidence when they raided his homes. And when they didn't, they needed to move forward, and they moved forward with Cassie being their ace in the hole. But unfortunately, Cassie didn't give them the slam dunk that they needed. Felicia, your thoughts?
Well, hey everybody, happy Friday, happy 4th. Hey, I hope everybody has a good time at the cookout tomorrow. Everybody got boots on the ground. We're going to do all the line dancing. We're going to do all the slides. We're going to do all the good things. And we're going to celebrate each other, because historically, Independence Day for foundational Black Americans was the day Master wasn't going to be in the house. See, he was going to go off and reenact the war and all that good stuff and leave us alone. And so that was the only day we got to really just relax and enjoy each other. And for some, it's been told historically they would leave the plantation and go out to go visit family and travel. And because, again, Master was drinking a lot and he was partying too, and it was all good. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. As far as this whole thing with this man, did they pay him to go up there and talk? Why did he come forward?
Most likely, yeah.
Was that you, Deva? What you say?
No, I didn't say anything. I don't think CNN pays like that.
So he just reached out to...
No, I'm sure they reached out to him, because this case has been a gold mine for everyone. Whether you are mainstream news or you just social media. I mean, people that I don't even think follow the hip hop culture have been covering this Diddy case. It has been a literal gold mine for people. So I think we just reached out to him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll come through." But it's interesting. He don't want his name out there, but he showed his face. I don't know. This whole thing is insane. But go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's very interesting, because I wonder how they got his name. So, but anyway, I'm glad he spoke a little bit about the tape, but I want to know what went down in the jury room during the deliberations, and he wasn't in there for that. So, but he did give us his experience with the tapes that you had very clearly stated early on. If there was anything on there that was illegal and people were passed out or, DEAD, anything like that, OD'd or whatever, we would have known about it long before the trial even got started. So I thank him for coming forward. Maybe folks who thought there was something really horrific on there will now have that idea, that concept thrown out. And they now know that one of the alternates who saw it, who had to be traumatized watching it, because if you're not into the corn and you've never seen anything like this, excessive baby oil and people sitting around smoking and doing a dope, and every now and then, but honestly, his face, he didn't even look excited to have even seen that trash. So hopefully he's done with his interviewing time. I'm done.
Katrina, your thoughts?
Okay, so he said nothing happened in the Pussycat Theater. He'll get a book deal, or somebody will give him a podcast, or something would happen. And as you said, I'm glad that it was nothing horrific on those videos. It was just corn inside the people was having. And for one thing, like we said, they never seen Diddy on those videos.
That's not true.
They saw Diddy on the videos.
And he said tame, right? So in my mind, if you saying tame, this ain't even corn level. This is not corn level. If you saying this thing was tame, he said the defense showed Cassie just sitting around. So there was downtime, but there are plenty of the workers that said there was downtime. So the defense showed the people, Cassie just sitting around, and what he saw, he said it was pretty tame, but mostly it was people putting baby oil on each other. This is about them trumping up something that wasn't there. So even, and then I believe, because one of the workers, and I'm going to show him later, he said it was barely, out of the 8-9 hours he was there, most of it wasn't even them having physical relations. So I'm sure they had to cool. That's why they chop videos up and put them together to make it 11 minutes. Because probably out of all the tapes they was watching, it wasn't a whole lot of sex going on. The Southern District of New York should be ashamed of themselves. Go ahead and finish, Katrina.
I'm sorry, Pussycat Theater. But it's gonna be more than him coming out. It's gonna be all of them probably gonna come out next week or something. They get doing the holidays, but then somebody might want to get on it before the holidays so they can get the best deal. But yeah, we glad somebody came out and said what he saw, what notes he took, and he seemed like a reliable person. So, we wasn't there. We went inside the courtroom, but everything that he's saying is what the charges and stuff was. And that's why they got him the way they did. So good luck to him. That's all I got, Diva.
Amy Jan.
Hey everybody. I went down a rabbit hole today just watching different people's perspectives on it. And I think what things that have shocked me the most about the trial is this a lot of content creators are upset and fighting with each other still. And just looking at this situation with this just the what's the word I'm trying to say, just this segment on CNN and him, the juror, expressing his experience. You had to read the comments. People were saying like, oh, this is the reason why we lost. He's dumb. He can't even articulate. These are the jurors that were allowed in the room to do the case. And I was just like, I think we've got too much blood, too much mud slinging. And it's not enough of accepting and embracing differences of opinion. And I don't know why it's gotten to that point, but it's definitely like been going on for the last couple of days. But I think it's heightened since the verdict. But other thing that I did want to say about I think it was a Mann Act. I'm interested to see how they're going to sentence him because for some reason I don't think it's going to go in his favor in any way because it seems like this Southern District wants to be known as like completely rebels. I don't know what's going to be the next step with them. It's not been good.
Time will tell. We got October, right? And on Tuesday, they're going into court to talk about something. Wayne, your thoughts?
I came in late, but kind of to add on to what she was saying about that, I was listening to, is his name Mark Garagos? Is it Mark
Yes.
or Garrett?
Mhm.
Was Garagos? He was saying last night, he said that it's no 10 years, none of that. And he said that it's what Diddy did for a first timer. It's a class A misdemeanor, and said that the judge, now I'm just saying what he said. He said the judge has guidelines he has to go by. And 10 years ain't in it. The sentence is a lot lighter. I looked it up too, and it said the same thing about a class A misdemeanor, a B, so forth and so on. I think the B is if it's a minor, under 18 or something like that. But the other one, it says that it's a class A misdemeanor if it's the first offense. So, and Garrigo seems to think that he ain't gonna serve that much time. So,
But I was told federal judges have a discretion. They have a big window of discretion, so they can do and say whatever they want at the end of the day, because there's no maximum minimum. It's only a maximum, not a minimum. So they don't have to give him the smallest sentence.
No, there's sentencing guidelines. Mark Garagos is a very, very well-known attorney here in Los Angeles. He's not Tom Girardi. He's not just randomly making things up. And regardless of the rumors, this is this man's first offense. They're not going to give him 20 years. I'd be shocked if they give him more than 2.
And it's 2 counts. So time will tell, but you could tell the judge is playing games because why do you need to wait all the way to October to sentence this man?
But Diva, you said something the other day that it didn't even dawn on me till after the fact that he asked him, "Are you ready to go home?" That was such a
he
trick
did.
bag, and it's kind of nasty. You know what you were doing.
It's nasty work. It was
it's petty.
Yes, it's petty. Yes.
Wait, I don't know if it was to be nasty or if it was because they did not know about those letters yet. I need a time frame as to when all these things happen.
He obviously he didn't know about the letters yet, because why would you get, I really feel like the prosecution thought they had this an ace in the hole. I think they were shocked about the verdict. And I think that's why he waited until 5 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock to do it, because I think they was waiting on the letters at that point, right? So that they wouldn't let him out. So, but my thing is, even regardless of the letters, because what he quoted was the fact that your defense team said you're violent. Y'all admitted to the violence. Well, you knew that before you waited till 5 p.m., sir.
This is just me. I have a feeling it was really those letters, but legally, you kind of can't say that. So he's putting it on something that happened within the case. I also think they pushed the sentencing back because they want to make sure he serves time, because it is possible that he could be let go with time served, because like they said, this is technically a misdemeanor. So we push your sentencing back as far as possible to make sure you serve that time. That's what I think is happening.
It could
another theory went out there that
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, there was another theory that went out there that said that they wanted to get some of these people in witness protection before he gets the release. So that was really the push for them to.
They don't have any grounds to be in witness protection.
Yeah, they don't.
The RICO case was lost. The government is not going to grant these people to be in witness protection. Yeah. These people actually have no grounds to say what they're saying, except Cassie, because he admitted that he did something to her. These other people, this is all in their head. They're not presenting an actual threat that was made toward them from him.
Yeah, yeah. And my thing is, honestly, if Diddy was going, if he was really a Rico boss and running an enterprise, respectfully, people wouldn't even have made it to trial. You want to know real Rico, real crime bosses, people in the streets really doing something, those people didn't make it to trial. You talk about
where's Jimmy Hoffa?
Come on. You talking about, John Gotti, because somebody mentioned that to me and how they didn't lose and whatever the case may be. By the time they got him, at that point they had wiretaps too. They had wiretaps. But if you from New York, one thing you know for sure, there was bodies in the street in broad daylight. In broad daylight with this John Gotti stuff. So people, you gotta know what you're comparing and what you're talking about here. They went in this man's house and they got 1,000, not 1,000 pow-pows. They got 1,000 bottles of baby oil. They put together tapes, and the man saw it. We didn't see it. This man saw it. He said, I saw it was pretty tame. People was rubbing baby oil on them. He never said people looked like they was passed out. And he said they didn't look forced. And I bet you that is what helped that jury said, this is some nonsense. Now, I wasn't in the courtroom, but they also said some of the jurors were smirking and laughing as they was watching those videos.
Yeah, and it upset some of the reporters. They were leaning towards the
They
prosecution.
didn't see it though. And you know why they were smirking and laughing? Because they didn't see nobody passed out. They didn't see nobody drugged up. They saw amateur stuff going on. People putting baby oil on them. And Shabbat, I can't with this no more. But listen, let me move into the next story. Okay, we talked about the alternate juror, right? He spoke. Let me get that off my screen. Let me go into this next story. Wait, here we are. What is it? Diddy and Cassie being sued. Diddy and Cassie being sued. I also told you in the beginning that there's no way when you're not using any type of protection that there wasn't pregnancies and all kind of stuff going on. Now, what I don't like about this man is if you're going to sue. But why do you have to get more personal in this? I don't know. And how did you even know that she got pregnant? But listen, stranger things have happened, right? So Cassie and Diddy sued. Male Escort claims she gave him an STD, alleged she got rid of a pregnancy by him. So Clayton Howard, one of the male escorts, prosecutors say Diddy hired, is dragging Diddy and Cassie to court. And he says Cassie gave him an STD and got rid of a baby when he got her pregnant. Howard, who says he went by Dave when he was hired for freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie, makes the salacious claims in a new lawsuit obtained by TMZ. The escorts claims he's contracted an STD from having relations with Cassie, and he says he impregnated her and she got rid of the baby without telling him. And he alleges she then continued having unprotected sex with him. So, sir, you the one that could have put something on and you didn't. Howard is one of 7 male escorts federal prosecutors in the Diddy criminal case say was transported across state lines for the purpose of having relations. He claims he was hired for freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie starting in 2009, and he says for more than 5 years, they trafficked him for the purpose of commercial relations, using him as entertainment to satisfy their fetishes and personal ambitions. Howard claims Diddy and Cassie gave him substances, manipulated him, and traumatized him while they themselves engaged in a toxic, domestically abusive relationship that often became violent. Why didn't he testify? Anywho, he says Cassie manipulated him into taking substances and having unprotected sex, and he says she would order him to pleasure himself for hours on end, resulting in tears, skin peeling, and scabbing on his private area. Howard claims his dealing with Diddy and Cassie left him physical and psychological injury, lost wages and benefits, medical expenses, pain and suffering, emotional distress, and mental anguish, plus loss of enjoyment of life. He was not called as a witness, but was mentioned several times during testimony in Diddy's trial. A federal agent testified about Clayton's stay at the Four Seasons and a flight from New York City to LA, all paid by Diddy. Diddy was acquitted on racketeering and sex trafficking, but was found guilty of transporting escorts across state lines for the purpose of P. He was denied bail and remains in custody awaiting sentencing. And they keep saying he's facing up to 20 years behind bars. When reached out to legal teams for Diddy and Cassie, so far no word back yet. Oh, child. Julius, your thoughts?
Messy. But like I said in the comment under the, but like I said in my long comment under like the verdict video on the channel, more of the shenanigans is going to come out. And I guess I am correct. Let's let this lawsuit go through the motions in the court. But I guess there's many more to come.
Yeah, unfortunately for Cassie, the floodgates are open. And I said the floodgates are now open for Jane Doe too. I feel for her in the sense that the Southern District of New York used her, and now they're leaving her hanging out there to dry. And this $20 million that she got from Diddy and the $10 million she got from the Intercontinental Hotel, I hope at the end of the day she gets to hang on to some of it. Callie, your thoughts?
You know, I actually said that this was going to happen, and everyone was like, oh my God, Callie, why would you say that? Cassie's a victim. And I said, no, these men are going to start suing her. The minute I heard her testimony, as well as the testimony of the man who said that he was led to believe that they were not doing this with anyone else. He was sort of coerced. He was coerced into doing this. I said it. These men are going to start suing her. And the rumor is the reason why they did not call more of the men is because they were all telling the same story, that she convinced them to start doing this. And you know, I didn't see the pregnancy thing coming because I thought maybe she had like some type of long-term permanent birth control. That's the reason why she could never be one of the baby mamas, because she was doing this. She had to be on birth control. She couldn't be a baby mama. So she couldn't get little Frankie by Diddy. She because she was doing this. Because there's no way in the world you're going to tell me she wouldn't have had a baby for him. But she couldn't, because she had to do the freak offs. So she had to be on birth control. So the pregnancy thing is a little, I would need to know how he got this information, what was going on. There is a rumor that one of these guys, she pretty much started dating him. So I don't know if this is the dude. And if that's the case, he might actually have like a lot of text messages and backwards and forwards and things like that. Not sure. That's just a rumor. I don't know. But I said this probably around week 3 of the trial, that these men are going to start suing her and take that $30 million, because there is no way you're going to tell me she was disclosing her health to these men. Even the men that were just trying to date her, they just thought she was just some normal actress, singer, whatever, that they were trying to date. They had no idea she was engaging in this type of stuff. I mean, honestly, it scares me as a single person that I might end up going out with some guy that went out with her. He's just trying to take her out on a date. He has no idea she's doing things that we can't even say on YouTube with random people from Craigslist. So I knew this was going to happen. I said it was going to happen almost 2 months ago, and he's probably not going to be the last one. And people keep saying, well, he went back and he did it without protection. Well, he was coerced. If you saw the interview with the other escort, he will tell you that they started bringing up sort of like test results and all sorts of things to try to convince him to do this with no protection. And, you know, he needed the money. So he was coerced and forced, and he was afraid. These were powerful people. The same argument that you're using for Cassie and Jane, these men were actually escorting, and they were actually talked into it by a person in this situation. It's almost like what we think was happening to them was actually happening to these men. And she walked away with 30 million. It kind of sounds like a madam to me, but hey, you know, what can you say?
Yeah. Thank you. Adopt a cat 28. Go somewhere and adopt a cat. Is this a pro Diddy channel? Like, did you like? Let's not be silly. Listen to the conversation, engage in the conversation, and level up in your mind. Like, stop. It's the nonsense, right? So this is a channel where we have a discussion, and everybody has their opinion, and they're entitled to it. So let me say this with her. I don't believe a whole lot of protection was going on. And I don't think Cassie was on a whole lot either. And I'm going by this with Gina. She got pregnant allegedly several times, you know, and was asked to get rid of the baby, so forth and so on. None of them was using their right state of mind, because they was all substance up. 4/7. They were reckless all the way around. They didn't want the men to use protection, and people said that was more for Diddy purposes. I don't want to go deeper into that. That's what they did. And so, and a lot of them thought they had a closer relationship with Cassie, because there was another one that said when he ran into her in the street and he really loved Cassie, there was two of them that said they loved Cassie. These men really thought like they were having more of an intimate relationship with Cassie. So I believe this man probably didn't know she was allegedly pregnant, and because she might have told him, because the other one said they did have a lot of downtime where they would just sit around and talk. So it's possible, but the sores in the mouth, I gotta move on. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, this STD thinking is a two-way street. I mean, who's to say he didn't give it to her? How you gonna prove that? You got DNA or whatever? You know, you can be coerced to not use protection. So what makes us think you haven't been with somebody else and didn't use protection? This is crazy. How are you gonna prove that she gave it to you? You know, my belief is that you 3 times 7 and some, meaning you 21 or more, you're responsible for your health. Okay, regardless of how many who's going to coerce you or whatever, you know that having unprotected affairs can lead you in the hospital. It can lead you in the ground. So you made the choice. Cassie didn't make the choice for you.
Wayne, you was talking good stuff, but it sound I don't hear you anymore. All right, I gotta move past Wayne. Hopefully he get back in. Felicia, your thoughts?
Okay, yeah. My thoughts. I don't believe him.
Did you hear me? Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Wayne. Go on.
Oh, a call bumped me
Wayne,
off.
are you back?
Yeah, but you know, you're responsible for your own health. So I mean, the girl got the money and stuff like that, and people just want to come after it. You know, and all this is now again your word against hers. She could say, "No, I didn't give him an STD," and he said, "Yes, you did." Well, prove it. Can you prove it? You got some kind of documentation that says that I got an STD back in such and such from this person? It's a money grab, you know. And I'm not taking up for her. I'm just using common sense. You land with people, you're not using no protection. Guess whose fault that is? If you get something, yours.
But there's no protection for your mouth. and that's where she has it.
Other than you just don't kiss them.
Yeah, which is what the guy that was doing the interview said. I don't know if I believe him or not, but he said I don't do certain things because of that.
Mm. I mean, it'd be smart. You don't know where this stuff has been. Put your mouth all on it.
But
Listen,
he was
you,
Okay.
getting them out,
Young-
go
but
other
you know what,
places.
Mo? Respectfully saying, you're in a business where you're going to run into that.
That's very true.
You
And
in
some
a
of them,
where
like
you're
I
going
was,
to run into that. Hold
oh,
on, Amy,
well,
because I got to go to Felicia.
oh, I'm sorry.
You're in a business of selling your body, and unfortunately, this is the hazards of your job. Now, it is not right if you knowingly have something and you don't tell somebody, regardless of the profession they're in. And Mimi, yes, that Jonathan Adi, he did say that. There were other people, I was just about to bring that up, that claim that Cassie and Diddy had one of these STDs that are not curable and gave it to him. I will say this. They will possibly they can track back what they call it, and I might be giving the wrong name, the donor person. When you have a circle of people you know you've been sleeping with, they can trace it back to say Diva is the link between these 5 people. They can do a trace back like that.
Mm-hmm.
Felicia, your thoughts?
If they can go back and trace, then they need to get to tracing. I don't believe that Miss Ventura at any time would have told this $2 hoe that she was pregnant at any time, none whatsoever. And if he's infected in the mouth, in the butt, in the pee, well, that's on him. He said he had a loss of health benefits, medical benefits, enjoyment of life. Listen, you were in that business. That business comes with a lot of high risk, even more so than whether or not you'll pick up something. You don't know if where you're going is safe. You don't know what place you might be walking into or whom you might be walking in on. So Miss Ventura got her money over a year ago. And when she got her money and you had a legal standing, you should have made a claim then. Why are you waiting until now? And if I got it right, Mr. Combs was found not guilty for any sex trafficking at all. That included you too, sir. That included you. He was found not guilty. So what you doing throwing his name into the lawsuit? You're just trying to get attention. You're trying to further muddy the waters. And I don't think too many people care. Period. I really wish that these $2 hoes would just get off these YouTube streets and out of these papers. I'm done with all of them. I'm finished.
Thank you, Felicia. Mo, thank you so much. That is how the health department does it. When you have names, that's exactly how the health department does it.
They'll trace it.
They could trace it back to, like, I'm a call it for lack of a better word, because there's another word that they use, to the donor person. Because what they do is when you come in, they ask you, well, who did you sleep with? Because you got to notify them this and that, and where do you think this might have happened, and when you got it, so forth and so on. Diva, what do you feel about the bill passed today that's going to impact the millions of people? Sherry, you got to tell me what bill it was. I've been running the show.
Medicaid.
Something with Medicaid?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, talk about this first, and then we'll get to that bill later.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about this Escort that's suing Diddy and Cassie, Amy?
Because after watching that thing with one of the jurors, that was one of the questions posed, like, how do you think some of these people who testified, how they're gonna fare in the regular world? And that guy was very honest when he said, "Oh, Don Rashad did horribly." Like when they cross-examined her, it pretty much dismantled her whole lawsuit. So it's interesting to me that this man's now, and it sounds very Tyrone Blackburn. They throw out these really, really hook hook lines like, oh, she gave me an STD and she was pregnant with my baby, and these things are not at all true. They just want to get their lawsuit in the media cycle, because I don't even think I mean, they may have slept with him, but I don't think that they used him plenty, because he's latching on like a pit bull trying to hurry up and get himself some money. And I just don't believe the story just from what I hear. I'm just like, I just don't believe it. I think you got paid. You got paid what you were worth, and you probably just weren't invited back because maybe you weren't performing well. And this is like your new hustle plan. All of the escorts that I have seen online are giving real broke boy energy, and they're looking for their next come up. And that's the part that I'm just so disturbed with, because it's like all these cheap whores just trying to have their moment in the sunlight. It's just weird. Like, go away.
So
But
this
Amy,
is what
these
I
are
didn't realize. I'm gonna come to you guys. I didn't
okay.
realize it was this one. He did an interview with Tasha K. It's interesting that is this guy right here.
It's so many at this point.
But
I've watched 3 interviews.
it's a lot, but I'm just talking right now about the one that is suing Cassie and Diddy. I've saw several of them. I didn't realize that he was the one that was suing Cassie and Diddy. He has done a long interview with Tasha K. He has a lot to say, and he also at one point, him and Cassie got into a really bad argument because she didn't tell him that she was on her monthly, and he found out after engaging with her, and him and Cassie got into it. And then Diddy is the one that broke up the altercation between him and Cassie. And he said for the most part Diddy was the one that was real chill. It's interesting that he is the one that is suing them. So, and another reason why I know wholeheartedly she probably said something, because they were also doing a lot of talking, and he even said it too in his interview with Tasha K. They had a lot of downtime. They did a lot of talking. They talked before, they talked during, they talked after. And when you are on, there's some people, listen, when I get tired, I don't drink. I just happen to not be a drinker. But when I get tired, I almost get delusional. There are some people when they're on these substances and they drinking and they doing all kind of stuff, they get the run in their mouth. Who knows what she ended up saying to this man? But I knew he was a little problematic when I heard his interview with Tasha K. So I'm not shocked that this is who's suing them. He wants some of that money. Callie, go ahead. What did you want to say? What did you want to add?
No, I was going to say these are men who were either working part-time as dancers or were inspiring to do this because they needed money. These were not like successful OnlyFans or fitness models or anything like that. These were desperate people. And I know I was joking a little bit earlier, but these people, these men, they kind of sort of were taken advantage of because they all told the same story. I initially came there because I thought I was going to a dancing gig, and this beautiful woman in the wig came out with a stack of money and some baby oil and told me this story. And they're thinking that this is just some special thing, and not knowing that there's another man coming in an hour after he leaves. So I would expect this because I think that these were men that were struggling in life, and that's why they were looking to do this. A lot of them were
failed athletes. A lot of them were failed, like athletes
so
that actually had careers.
Yeah,
and
they
lost
have
them.
This was before OnlyFans. Now they would just go on OnlyFans, but this was before OnlyFans. So it's like, what do you do when you're a man? You're down and out. You're ripped. Oh, I'm gonna go be an exotic dancer. The Rock was an exotic dancer. The Game was an exotic dancer. I don't necessarily think that most of these men were gentlemen of the evening. I think that they were, like Amy J said, failed athletes or guys that were in the gym all the time that was just looking for some way to get some money.
Well, the same thing I would say to them is the same thing that I say to women who are chasing a dollar. This is what you get. We listen. I don't know anybody who at one point didn't need money, wasn't looking for a job, trying to figure their way out in this world in life. But we didn't turn to selling our body and doing all this other stuff. Where there's a will, there's a way, and there's a different way to do it than this. If I was a dancer and I came to dance and I got to the door, you could have had $20,000. If I'm not wanting to sleep with you, I'm not going to sleep with you. I need to move to Katrina, but hold on 1 second. 48, thank you so much for the super chat. Ain't no bear goggles thick enough in the world. Listen, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Katrina, your thoughts?
Okay, he said that he was scared, he was coerced into doing it. As we would ask the women, we gonna ask him, why didn't you go to the police? Everybody want to know why the women didn't go to the police. Why this man didn't go to the police?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go to the police because you know you was doing something illegal. You got paid for being a prostitute. I don't understand why these folks are sitting out there telling on themselves. You was paid to be a prostitute. You paid for sex. You got paid for sex. You were a prostitute. And if you sit up there having unprotected sex with somebody, being the, as they would call the dominant one, or they would call the sinner, because you saying that you looking for the person who was the sinner. So you said Cassie gave you STD. Normally, a man would know that he has an STD before a woman. It takes time for a woman, but a man would know right then and there. So you had an STD. You went to the You went to the doctor. When you went to the doctor, you had to tell the doctor where you got it from, who you had sex with. So did Cassie ever go back to the clinic? Because they're gonna call. They're gonna make sure that she's getting treated, because they're gonna say that she got an infection that's going around. She have to go to her doctor or show that she had got the antibiotics or whatever they had for the STD that she got. Then you said you went back. So you went back to her knowing that she gave you an STD. Then you was looking for that. You was going there for money. And as we saying again, it is a money thing, because there's no way somebody gave me an STD, I'm going back again. Be for real. It don't work that way. Well, I guess it does work that way. He said he did it. But like I said, but you saying
didn't they all do it though, Katrina? Cassie,
yeah,
did
they
it.
all
They all
that's
did
what I'm
it.
saying. They all did it. All of them, it's like Felicia say, $2 hoes. All of them there was prostitutes. One was a trick, one was the player. So you got what you got. That's what you paid for. That's what you got paid for. You got paid to have sex. That's what your money. You said you went there to dance. She brought out some baby oils and a wig. As you said right then and there, Diva, if that's not your forte, you walking out the door. I don't do that. I dance or whatsoever, but I don't do that. You did it because you wanted to do it. If you didn't want to do it, you had the right to walk out the door as the same as the other people. They had the right to walk out that door. And then you came back for the money. You said yourself that her monthly was on. Okay, her monthly was on. You fussing with her about that. Diddy gave you 5,000 or whatever, and everything was cool. So I don't care about him talking about she gave you STD. Maybe she got rid of the baby. Like you said, even when they get drunk and high, alcohol make you tell the truth. But I don't know if she told him that. These folks is weird. This is just sex. This is just these people are weird as heck. And no, he don't deserve no money. I don't think he deserved it. If you wanted some money, why didn't you say this before all this happened? This ain't just happened this year. It happened how long ago? And now you saying that this happened and all that? Man, go sit down, because you ain't finna get nothing. They gonna fight the heck out of you. You going against Diddy, that man just beat these charges, and you think you finna get something out of this? I doubt it. But we'll see how it goes. That's all I got, Diva.
I appreciate you. It's a mess. But what's interesting is though that they didn't utilize him on the stand. So that tells me that the Southern District of New York, by the time they finished interviewing these people, they also knew then that these trumped up charges was trash. And they used our tax dollars to continue on this circus. They knew after they spoke to 99 of them probably witnesses that they could potentially use, they picked the best out of the worst. And that's who they used on the stand. And it still was an epic fail. 48, thank you so much. Going back with a burning and peeling wiener, yikes. Listen, he wanted the money. He wanted the money. And I'm going to tell you why I'm 10 toes down that all of these escorts after a while started realizing something wasn't right and they was going to the clinic burning and all kinds of stuff, because after a while they started asking for the paperwork. They started asking for the test results.
That's true.
They started asking for the
Well,
test.
the one guy, I don't know his name. I have to go back and look at his interview. He said Cassie, when she tried to tape him, he was like, "No, you can't take me." And then he saw that it was like a laptop that was open, and he closed it. They were like trying to secretly tape people. So, I mean, they had agency to say no. So if someone you don't feel comfortable having your penis out and having raw sex, they did not always get the guys to do it. It wasn't just the girls that were hesitant. It was some of the men too.
I don't think the women were hesitant, at least not the women that that were included in this case. I really think that this was part of the kink, was to talk these men into doing this.
I don't think initially they were talked into it. See, men are visual, and you want to know what's very sad, and this is part of this is part of what they get. Cassie is beautiful,
yeah,
and they make assumptions. So they saw Cassie. She looked gorgeous on the outside. Everything on the outside was picture perfect. They loved it, and they went ahead and did what they did. And it wasn't until they got home, they was burning, they was falling apart, they was bombing and everything else. And they still went back because they wanted the money. But now they want to talk about, can I see your paperwork? They need to stop. And Jane Doe, if she is who we think she is, and nobody don't say her name on here, but if she is, we think she is, she's another one. She's gorgeous. Allegedly, her out and about the other day at the gas station, and she's so traumatized and so much happened to her, but she was at the gas station displaying everything, looking like she's looking for her next person to help her out and sponsor her mortgage and her rent and all of that.
Oh, she was out and about after all this.
Yeah, she lives here. Yeah, I mean, I know people that have had associations with her, but she has a very almost like an adult industry look. Like she's had a lot of plastic surgery. She has a look about her where you would think maybe she does movies or something. Cassie looks like a normal girl. So I think that is why a lot of these men went for this.
But either way, they're both gorgeous. They're both gorgeous. And Cassie had work done too, because they tell the story about Cassie when he made her go get these
yes, she did, but she still kind of looks like just a normal pretty girl. Jane has a look where you see her and you think adult industry, and that's all I will say.
Yeah, well,
she is on OnlyFans.
Hold on 1 second, Amy. When I saw her Instagram, I didn't necessarily. It depended, because she had pictures where, to me, she could look like a normal person, and then she had pictures where, it was amped up. But either way, your Instagram model look, I can go with that, Tamara. You know what though? Either way, my point is, when they opened the door, the escorts was cool. They fell for it right away because both women are gorgeous. They're pretty. And these men, they fall for anything because they fall for these pictures and be up in these girls' DMs on the Instagram.
Yeah, so, the guys from that agency said, like, before they met Diddy and Cassie or Jane Doe, this one guy said he had two engaged, like, they usually just do escorting. They go and take people out. He said, but it was a lady that was 70 that was ready to get down, and he was like, I can't.
Then that's a lie. Listen, let me move forward. That whole agency that they use. See, I said this before in the beginning, that everybody was lying. To what degree they're lying, they're all lying. The escorts are acting like they lived this picture perfect life before that. It's the nonsense in the lies. Diddy and Cassie was not their first time that they ever crossed the line. That's some BS lies. I have seen strippers come to bachelorette parties and go far, 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 far. with the people.
Oh,
Ain't my
yeah.
cup of tea, ain't none of my business. Listen, let's roll this back and talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta and that whole
Hold
scene where
on.
Bolo
Hold
was
on.
there.
Oh,
When they
yeah.
thought that Bolo slept with a whole lot of people at that particular
Mhm.
day.
And,
About
and
the Real
Portia.
Housewives of Atlanta. So those guys are gonna miss me with the nonsense that the very first time that they ever crossed the line is when they went to see Cassie and Diddy. I'm a little smarter than that, okay? So it's just nonsense. But when you want to sit there and you want to risk your body and not use no protection, you the fool. And then you kept going back, you the fool. And then you cannot tell me, and I'm not trying to even get graphic here. There's no way the amount of UTIs this girl says she had, there's no way on the face of this earth that when you came to have relations with her, not one of them ever any day smelled something a little off or anything like that. That's a
That
lie.
part. You would
That's a
smell
lie.
it.
Well,
UTI, you would
it's
smell.
not. We can't say exactly what she was doing on YouTube because you literally can't say that. But there's a term in a category in adult sections for what she was doing. There's no possible way you can physically do that and not have a smell and all these other things going.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
I'm connected to you.
Yeah.
Right. That you can't. You can't. You
That's
absolutely.
why when I was listening and they said that these FOs were very mild, I started thinking, well, maybe they were over exaggerating them in these on the stand. Maybe it was like one guy and they spent most of the night rubbing each other with oil and had like probably 20 minutes to saturate
Well,
over.
we saw that they were trying to arrange something with 4 men to celebrate Christmas. So we saw the text and all of that stuff. So I'm thinking that because you have to understand where they got this information from, she probably got rid of those tapes.
No.
And listen, one said one man left out the room and he said another one was about to come. And so you got to imagine it's all of these men and it was just the two ladies. And I'm not saying that it wasn't the two of them at the same time. It was just Cassie. And then it was all of these men. It was just Jane. And then it was all of these men. There's no way you're going to introduce all of that stuff. And then you're introducing another element to help just have the nastiness stick in you and be in you, this baby oil.
Oh.
Listen, I got to move forward. It's a hot, stinking mess. I think he's messy. But you know what? Everybody else is suing, and he figured, why not? I need to sue too.
Someone said you had to do it for the men. You know, we need something.
but not only that, the part I really don't like is why did you need to add the pregnancy in there? Why did you need to add that? You just
sensationalize it.
Yeah, you're just being mean. You're being mean. You're being real mean. And you was getting $5,000 and $10,000 a pop at the time. Go get your medication and keep taking it for the rest of your life and get out of our face. Okay, so let me go into the last story. I feel for her because, you know, if you come out and remotely, you know, even say anything that you're like supporting Diddy, you got to be prepared for the people to be coming at your neck. See, that, and I also tell people too, when you do this YouTube, when you want to be a blogger in this sector, you know, all sectors, because I know I got a girlfriend that does the makeup section, the fashion section, this, that, whatever. You all are going to get some type of like hate, so to speak. I'll use that for lack of a better word. But definitely when you are in like this trending topics type of, you know, part of YouTube, you got to know how to stand your ground, and you got to be able to stand on business, so to speak, because the people will come at you. Okay, especially if your opinion differs from theirs. So this Kim Porter's friend, Eboni Elektra, I don't know, I guess she wasn't kind of reading the room, but she needed to have tough skin when she was going to put out this right here, because the people, because of the media, The people have this man labeled as the worst person walking on the face of the earth. They got people comparing this man to OJ. Allegedly, OJ unalived 2 people, right? How are you comparing him to OJ? Like, this is insane to me. They have, since his homes were raided, they have put out, I bet you if they probably did a survey, he has got to have had the most stories in the news. He has got to top the charts here, because every single day they was putting out story after story after story after story, and they made sure every time they put out a story about him, they, oh, okay, Mark told me it's called racism. Well, Mark, you better, talk to the diva. Talk to the diva. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but they put out story after story after story about him. And I just go back to, and I remind people every chance I get about Mike Jeffries from Abercrombie and Fitch. Mike Jeffries hired a legit security company. They had a security company that legit was outside the door of these rooms where they was violating these young men, that they 100% brought there on the pretense of you're doing a modeling audition. And they would have the door locked, and they was injecting Viagra and all that stuff in them, so these men could stay aroused the whole time, while Mike Jeffries and his partner, and there was 2 of them, so it was 3 men all together, would do whatever to these men and violate them. That's coercion. That's being forced. That's all of this stuff. And I sat down and thought about it. I was talking to one of my girlfriends. Most of these nights have these hotel nights, these freak offs. They happen in hotels. Now listen, Diva ain't a rolling, balling out of control here. But every hotel I ever went to, they got a phone in there. If you need room service, a towel, a washcloth, or whatever, you pick up the phone, and next thing you know, somebody's there knocking on the door. They're coming to help you. If at any given time in these hotel nights, these freak-offs, whatever the case may be, you was being coerced, all this other stuff was going down, you could have simply, at one point when he passed out, went to sleep, went to order food or whatever, you could have told the hotel people, help, save me. It's the nonsense. But let's continue. Kim Porter's best friend has shocking reaction to Sean Diddy Combs' verdict. Kim Porter's best friend, Eboni Elektra, has stayed silent about Sean Diddy Combs' legal troubles until now. The 54-year-old broke her silence via Instagram Wednesday after the rapper's mixed verdict was revealed. The Grammy winner was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in P, but acquitted of as trafficking and racketeering. That's Kim Porter. That's her friend sitting next to her. That's them there again, too. Praise God. This is what she wrote on her Instagram. Elektra caption to a close-up photo of Combs' face. She says, opinions, we all are entitled to them. Mistakes, we all make them. Judging, we all do it. Gossip, we're all guilty of it. God's will is higher than any opinion, mistake, judgment, or gossip, she continued. If this is God's will for Puff Daddy, for Puff/Diddy, then that's his will. In the end, what we think does not compare to his will. Elektra concluded by asking, who are we to judge? That's God's job. It's all in his hands. You never know. And then she, has some hashtags, whatever. My opinion in the heart emoji. Well, the people came at her neck. So T.I.'s wife, Tamika Tiny Harris, supported Elektra in the comments, defending being nasty and being freaky. Many social media users, however, blasted Elektra's reaction, calling her a clown. One claimed poor Kim is becoming very apparent she had no real friends, while another added, you haven't made not one comment about this until now. Really should have kept it all the way, but hey. A third pointed out that Combs' on-again, off-again ex-girlfriend Cassie, who testified in Combs' 6-week trial about the alleged and physical abuse she endured during their relationship, follows Elektra and may have seen the sick post. Cassie, 38, dated the Bad Boys founder between 2007 and 2018. Porter, for her part, was romantically linked to Combs from 1994 to 2007, and the duo shared 4 kids: Quincy, 34, Christian King, 27, and twins Delilah and Jesse, 18. Combs is also the father of Justin, 31, Chance, 18, and Love, 2. Porter, whose children have supported Combs in court, died in November 2018 at the age of 47. 5 years later, Combs' legal battle kicked off when Cassie sued him in a bombshell lawsuit, which he quickly settled for $20 million. The dancer claims, as well as a 2016 video that surfaced of Combs beating Cassie in the hotel, led to speculate about his dynamic with Porter, including the late model's disgusted dad. I didn't know how he could stoop that low, Jake Porter told Rolling Stone last year, saying it gave him a different outlook that made him wonder about Combs. The record executive was arrested in September 2024 following headline-making raids on his homes, with his federal case beginning in May. Combs is facing up to 20 years in prison. He was denied bail on Wednesday due to a disregard for the rule of law and propensity of violence. Combs' sentencing is scheduled for October the 3rd. Julius, your thoughts?
Okay. Reading the room, she gave the simple caption, and that will say to me, as a matter of fact, I really don't know how to feel about it. I think reading that she is in Diddy's camp, I'm not sure, but I will say this. There are people that may have known Kim Porter that are supporters of his. Just like the ones who think he's guilty, the ones who are supportive of him should be respected as well.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Julius. County, your thoughts?
I think that what's happening is that, because again, the same thing that's happening with these jurors, is that due to a lot of this false news reports and online myths and legends, people have made Kim a character in their head, and they have created this whole entire DV relationship that Kim may or may not have been in. She never told anybody she was in a DV relationship. There's no evidence of her calling the laws. There's no restraining order. She was still with Diddy when she passed away. I guess they had some kind of poly situation going, but she lived in his house. So I think that what happens is when people who are actually there and around her and know whatever the relationship was, they come out and they say whatever because they're going by what their actual experience was, not by an internet rumor. And because Kim is not here to speak for herself, it's easy for people to sort of create this relationship that, yes, it may have not been perfect, and it might have been a poly situation that she didn't want. And yes, he had a substance abuse issue. So he probably was having weird mood swings and doing weird things to everybody at times. But I don't think that a lot of these things that are being said happened, because there's no record of them ever happening, and Kim never told anybody that. So people are attacking her friends, going, you're not a real friend because he did this, this, and that to Kim. Who told you he did this, this, and that to Kim? It wasn't her friends. It wasn't her kids. It wasn't her. It wasn't her dad. It's these random people that have never met Kim, or people that hadn't been around Kim in 20 years if they did meet her. So, I mean, this is the same thing that's happening with the jury. It's these people that are just putting out all of this false and unverified information, and people that have the real information come out and they say, well, oh, you know, I'm just praying for him or whatever. Now you get attacked because this person over here that never met these people told you he was a monster. This is the second friend of hers that actually has come out and spoke. It was another friend that knew her, Cassie, and Jane that spoke. And you could tell, you could tell that she was holding some things back.
Yep.
But she did allude to a lot. So, and I think that people are getting angry with the people who were actually there and knew them because they're contradicting this story that has been painted by people just making up stuff.
I wanted to add that
wait, Jane, let me go on a roll here so I won't skip nobody. Wayne, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking, if I understood what she was saying, I think what she was saying, she just wasn't trying to pass judgment and pretty much saying what most people would say if they, to kind of stay in the middle, So I kind of understood she didn't want to, blast him or say anything bad. She just said, well, hey, if it was God's will, so forth and so on. The rest of the stuff, she could have kept to herself because it doesn't serve a purpose right now. It's just a word salad out there that's not going to mean anything to anybody. So she could have kept that to herself. That's it.
Felicia, your thoughts?
I happen to agree with Wayne because I didn't understand what she was saying. And I think that's okay that I didn't understand. But unfortunately, what I do understand sometimes is how you think someone is your friend or you have an ally. And you find out people aren't your friends or they don't really appreciate or know you or trust who you say you are. And sometimes you're in a group that you consider that you have an alliance with, a good alliance with, and then something comes up and there's a difference of opinion. And then you're finding, well, I was kind of in the group, but not really in the group. And now my feelings are hurt. I have often said and shared here that I wish people would just get out of their feelings. Just get out of your feelings all the time and allow people to express what they feel or what they think, even if they don't agree with you, even if you think it's totally off balance or doesn't make sense. They're not asking you to listen to it more than once. But there's so many raw emotions out here right now about this particular case. And I'm wondering again, our foundational Black Americans, are we going to ever be able to come up from the bottom because we're overly emotional about things and not very factual about things? And I have to agree with what Kelly just said, that, people have a narrative in their head. They applied it to a piece of paper. This is the story. And if you go outside of the story that they say that has been written, you're now anti, you're not a friend, you were never a friend. This entire case was based upon loose friendships. And from the outset, I had said that Kerry Morgan, dear friend of Cassie Ventura, was treated badly. Treated with no respect. She was harmed. She was hurt. Often she tried to protect her friend. Even she called the police when her friend didn't call the police, and Cassie said nothing. So I think if we look back, at least over the last 2 years, we have to take a look at our relationships, particularly people we call friends and friendship, and stop looking for people to speak for you. Speak for yourself. Stop looking for people to determine who you are. You determine who you are. You determine your value. You determine your honor and your dignity. So you don't have to get caught up in the emotions of what other people think when you're moving a little differently or you're not supporting something necessarily overly vocally. And I think that's where this caution has to come in now. Folks are going to have to go back into their respective spaces and just remain quiet and watch this play out and see what's happening in this court. And while we're here, I didn't have an opportunity to thank all of the jurors who did a phenomenal job. It took great bravery and great courage to go in there and to deliberate and to look at the facts and the evidence presented to you and to come to what you all thought was a just and fair decision, a just and fair verdict. And I also want to thank all of the content creators, including you, Diva, for covering this, because I don't think many of us would have had nearly as much factual information if it wasn't for the YouTube content creators who were out there, as you had said, in the sun and in the rain and up and down the steps and in all of that crazy out there to bring us the facts so that we weren't totally reliant on mainstream media that still is trying to catch up I mean, if you looked at today's mainstream media, they're still trying to catch up to what the facts are. And we would not be able to have rational, easy discussions, many of us, if we were just going on he said and she said. We went on the testimony in that court. And as you have often said, all of these urban legends out there and this story and that story. Hell, I'm sitting here and I'm still waiting for Al B. Sure to be called up to the stand. So, the truth is going to stand, and it is going to be the truth all the time. So now that we know this case is over pretty much, when you see Al out in the street, ask him what happened, okay? I'm done.
Not ask Al what happened, because he talked a lot of smoke too. And the truth of the matter is, he should be more concerned about building a relationship with his son than running around to every podcast and everybody that put a mic in his face talking about who tried to take his life and how he's writing a book. I think the book is already written and all of this other stuff. Do you believe me now? Do you believe yourself, Al? Because it speaks volumes when your own son don't even really want to deal with you. This thing is a mess. Listen, people, I appreciate y'all being here. It's a lot. I'm not shocked that the floodgates are open. I'm shocked now that I have a face to put to the name of who's suing Diddy and Cassie. But, the doors are now open. And see, you know what's wild to me? The Southern District of New York spoke to this man. And they spoke to many others. And they knew those freak-offs wasn't all that they was making them out to be. But they buried that information. All so they could continue this pursuit of ridiculousness. Anybody have anything to say before I close out? Listen, I thank y'all for being here. Y'all spent the 3rd of July with the diva. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit the like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. I'm happy for Cassie that all that her body went through and she was still able to have these kids. I'm happy for her. But I also think that, like I said, I feel the Southern District of New York used her. And they used her to the bitter end because they had her write this letter, in my opinion. And if I was her, I would have told them, no, I did enough for y'all. I'm not writing nothing. I'm out. Like, leave this thing alone. It's too much. Writing this letter saying this man's so dangerous. And I'm telling you, as time goes by, these workers are going to come out and they're going to be saying a whole lot more that's going to put a whole different spin on this thing. A whole different spin on this thing. Anyway, guys, thank you. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.